Much for being here. I am super excited to share this new body of work with you all called She Isn't a Metaphor. Um, Going back, so this series kind of started with just one single painting, which I was creating for a group show called Retelling Her Stories. And while researching for what to create, I went into Hindu mythology and started looking into some of our stories, which personally I felt were all told from a men's perspective and had room to be reimagined. One of the stories that stuck to me was Sita's story from Ramayana. And the reason for that was Sita was always and still is celebrated for something being a sacrificial woman and being silenced and sacrificing her life for her husband, which of course is a good thing. And she, of course, was very powerful to do that. But celebrating a woman as a sacrificial still kind of somehow continues in today's society, which which is why I wanted to reimagine and retell the story. But while kind of working on it, I came to a realization that there were more stories like that, and funniest part, they still kind of were true. A lot of these things were valid even today in our contemporary society. So I kind of saw an opening where I felt like I had so much more to say, and this one painting was never going to be enough. So I created a whole body of work. And it's all about celebrating the power of women, her resistance, resilience, and the stories she carried. So the whole body of work is two-phased. One is referencing mythology and connecting it back to our society. And the reason I chose mythology was I grew up listening to these mythological stories and always questioning how and why women were kind of celebrated for being like silenced or sacrificial, in certain cases even feared, like in case of Medusa, even outside of Hindu mythology. And not even that, but as a child, I remember being told as a girl child to act a certain way, to sit a certain way, because that was considered good in our society, or not to talk too much because girls should be quieter, to be poised. Even on top of that, I remember a funny story where it's like at my wedding, my mom tells me, act shy. I did not know what then, and I just did what she told me to. And now retrospectively, I think, why didn't I question her and what did it mean? But the whole idea is a lot of these expectations and the things that we as women are judged on are so engraved into our society, and the expectations are built around it that we sometimes don't even question those. We just abide by what's told, and we don't want to be judged. Like a mother is always like celebrated of to be a sacrificer, as if she sacrifices herself for her family, she would be considered a great mom and celebrated, which is a good thing, but not having those judgment and expectations around it from the society should be the way we live. Now, going back to the work, one of the pieces in the work itself is called Breaking the Silence. So this was referenced from one of the stories in Hindu mythology, where a woman was converted to stone and silenced because of something. And it was quite literally, but the way I saw it as, we still kind of feel that, feel the burden of being stoned if we talk too much. I'll give you an example of, in my tech world, if a woman questions too much or asks too much, she's considered bossy. and is expected to just be quiet and silenced, not literally, but kind of converted to stone. And I wanted to re-question or reimagine these expectations and what the world could be if we didn't have those expectations. If a woman was just a complex human being without being questioned or looked at as a mother, a wife, a daughter, and just be a person with these complexity with her own voices. What would the expectations look like if we weren't being judged, or expectations around her were made to be obedient, to be sacrificial, and instead we could be leaders, we could be rebels, and we could just have our own voices without the fear of judgment. So that's kind of more about this particular like body. And then the other piece is a more happier piece, where I was just researching these symbols from our nature, such as fire, mountain, wave, lotus, and many more, and like wings. And one of the things I kind of felt was all of these kind of resonated with some or the other power of being a woman and womanhood, such as a wave is a symbol of persistence. So are we. Like, women are so persistent, they are resilient like a lotus, they are mounted like a mountain, we are strong, we are always aware, we are transformative like fire, we are strong, and we can fight if needed as a weapon. So this is just celebrating women to its core, celebrating the complexities, the power, and the resistance they carry, wings attached. That was all about the why behind the work. I do want to quickly go into the process itself. So these work are all mixed media. I initially conceptualize or create the work digitally, and everything is at least 5 to 8 layered. So every piece will have 5 to 8 layers, and first layer mostly always will be image transferred, which is like the printed images then transferred onto the canvas, and then I start kind of playing in more spontaneously between paint and collage. Mostly I use acrylic, oil pastels as next few layers, and then I'll start the collaging process, which is mostly between paper, fabric, and found materials. And one of the most important, or the most valuable, as I considered, collage material is fabric. Almost all my fabric is sourced from India, and they are my mom's, mine or my grandmom's saris, mostly ornate in nature. And there is dual reason to do that. I use saris because I want to preserve those histories. Like, some of these saris I've worn at my wedding, and some my mom wore at her wedding. So it is my way of preserving that history and preserving my own heritage and culture. And the second part is, I've always been amazed and loved Indian handicraft, and it's so crucial part of our culture. And this is me celebrating that, celebrating the beautiful handicrafts, that are part of our culture. They are mostly ornate in nature, use gem, pearls, gold wires, and a lot of it, and are from different parts of India. And then finally I'll combine them, merge them together with a lot of these paint to create layers, but in a seamless way. I'd encourage all of you to, if get a chance, go look at these works in person, because that's when you'll find these finer details. And the interesting part of the whole work is how these layers are created and what you can find. It's like puzzles. But I'd love you all to kind of go and look at it. But again, really appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for the support, and reach out to me if you have any questions. I'd love to listen to your stories and how you resonate with this particular body of work.